Hi guys, this is Sydney. Today I just wanted to share some something about what it means to be in the present moment, be content with this moment, or however you resonate with these terms at this time, and share something about that. So, what's your idea of being present and staying present, and what do you think that it's going to bring you? Do you see that as something that's going to bring you benefits or bring you disadvantages? And when we think of it, we've been conditioned to have the separate ideas in duality, either as good or bad, right? That being present is good. Being present is going to bring you benefits. And something with that, we pursue now to be in the present moment. Being present becomes a goal, and when we are in the present or in the act of being present or practice being present, on a subconscious level we tend to see or recognize or have this idea, belief that you achieved that goal of being present, that you went for, that it would bring you benefits of some sort. For example, anything that is opposite of what's considered bad, such as being at stressful situation or being anxious, being restless, being worried, being in doubt, however it is, right? So now you have achieved being present, and now you feel fulfilled in the moment. And now you are satisfied with who you are. And when we really think of this, it is all attachments, another form of attachments. We have been conditioned so much with the idea of good and bad that even being present, even being just existing, becomes a destination, becomes a goal, becomes an ambition. And that creates immense amount of attachments. That we are still in this duality imprisonment. Do you get what I mean? So just yesterday, I was at this place that I found very nice to connect with the lake here in front of me, the water. And it's at the corner, and that I could feel the wind. The weather has been very cloudy, rainy. And with that came a lot of nice wind, so I was enjoying the wind in that little corner cafe. And then I just paused and I start to feel this little coffee that I ordered, that I usually bring my own nut milk and I mixed that with honey that I bought here. So like it kind of has that sweetening effect. And then I never really drank coffee until I was in Osaka. So before, everywhere, somehow every time I had a sip, it had an effect on my energy, and it was not sitting well with me, so I didn't drink at all. And then in Osaka, I had some, and then coffee started to taste really different, for example. And I was avoiding coffee because of its acidic nature, that ever since my big surgery that I had, that I share in other videos in the past. At the end of 2021, I've been on this radical cleansing of the physical body, where I was going on this journey of learning and new discoveries, and also facing my own physical body addictions to certain foods and substances, like meaning not like drugs or anything, but like substances, in a sense that all the chemicals that I had been consuming, that I had been addicted to in a lot of different sorts of ready-made foods, instant foods, even carbs and sugars and all of that. So I had to experience like withdrawal symptoms and going back and forth, and then experiencing all fears and guilt and shame and all of that, right? The whole journey, just with the food, just with dealing with the physical addictions that we've been exposed to ever since we were born at this time. And then also it was connected to like the mental and emotional. And I had to discover a lot about that idea that I have been tying to the concept of good and bad with certain foods. And that what I came to realize, if you resonate, this idea of veganism, idea of vegetarianism, or however it is, pescatarian, all these ideas and titles, we sometimes are so caught up, we get so caught up with the programming to pursue the good, meaning it's another chasing, another way to create a lot of shame and guilt inside without us realizing anxiety, stress, and fears within. That if we don't do that, we are afraid that we might fall ill, we might get sick, we might experience that painful physical symptoms, or however you resonate with these. That everything is so conditional now, even us realizing. And so we are now chasing after what they have programmed as so-called good, healthy, better for you. And it's heavily marketed in front of your face every day on social media, automatic ads that are coming up constantly, right? You gotta eat this, you gotta do this for your skin, for your body, for your shape, for your not to get cancer, not to get this, not to get that, for your blood sugar levels, or hormonal imbalance, right? It's constantly creating so much scare, so much fear in us. without us realizing. And with this so much stress and disease and anxiety and constant push for pursuing of something, they act as distracting agents to make us feel restless, to make us feel like we now have to pursue presence, we now have to pursue harmony, pursue peace. So we go and practice yoga, we go and practice meditation. And everything becomes mechanical. You start to create a ritual, morning ritual, workout ritual, routine, eating ritual, routine. And with that is another control, another compulsion, another imprisonment. Meaning everything starts to become mechanical. Meaning whatever you do, you are in pursuit of something that you get so attached to a goal that being present becomes a practice. And with that practice, you're not present, you're not conscious. It's kind of an irony, but that's the reality a lot of people are exposed to nowadays at this particular time that we are on Earth. So I was going through that whole journey as well, and I had to come to some sort of realization that if I have this perspective that coffee is bad, and that whenever I enjoy it, I feel guilty, and I criticize myself for it on a subconscious level, and with that I start to fear how it could have a negative or adverse effect on my body, physical well-being, and that I cannot fully present with drinking coffee, for example. So what I realized for me, like whenever I'm in a certain parts of the world, connecting with certain parts of Gaia, it's for a purpose, and there are certain types of fruits or certain types of foods that I'm guided to eat in that particular place while I'm connecting to that particular area or energy points of Gaia. And so that really put me to a challenge to look into all these conditional beliefs about certain things that I was programmed with about certain foods and certain ideologies, certain philosophies, certain teachings. And there are certain valuable information and wisdom from people who share their own experiences and what they discovered. And what I realized at the same time, we also as an individual need to go on a unique individual self-discovery journey to recognize what is needed for your individual unique experience or existence or whatever journey that you may be on. And that is part of the idea of sovereignty as well. That Some people may channel this food carries negative energy if you eat, and that eating meat is not good, meaning whenever you eat meat, you feel bad inside, you feel ashamed, and you feel bad for the animals, and so on and so forth, right? All based on a conditioned belief of what is better, what is healthier, what is good, what is right, right? Meaning what is superior. And so we get constantly caught up in these old conditioned mindsets and beliefs. And with that, we constantly go into the energy of negativity. And that some people need to eat meat. Doesn't mean they're not conscious. They could be conscious. They could have certain spiritual talents and abilities that serving Gaia, but they may need to consume meat or fish or whatever that is, or however it is. As for my experience, what I had to learn was that as I flow with it, intuitively following what my body was needing, after like extreme cleaning up after the surgery for about 3 months, I noticed that I was craving shrimps. Only shrimps at certain periods of time. But whenever I had squid, or I couldn't eat fish at all, just my body was not responding to it. I would have this, regurgitation, and I couldn't put that into my mouth, for example. But shrimp was fine. Squid, I could eat it, but whenever I had squid, I started to get sick, digestive issues, something that was blocking the energy in my solar plexus, for example. And then I had this huge craving and about certain foods that were nostalgic. They used to give me emotional comfort, safety net. And I thought I was being smart, and I thought I was being very selective. And then I order a certain dish that I asked them whether it's only vegetable, no fish, no meat, no this. And then at times later I discovered it's cooked with some chicken stock, beef stock, and then in a soup, even though it was like a vegetable soup. The base was like chicken stock that I didn't know for about a month. And every time I had it, because of the taste I enjoyed, at the end, for some reason, it didn't sit well with my body. So my body would give me a message, try to communicate with me. And so it went on for, so far 22, 23, 24, 3.5 years. Before that, all my life I grew up eating all this instant noodles, instant stuff, a lot of snacks, sugary snacks, cereals, bread. Even though it didn't make me feel good, I was addicted to them, and it gave me a level of comfort, and I was seeking after them. especially like lots of chocolates that I didn't realize it's filled with a ton of preservatives, other chemicals inside. And that all the physical symptoms are also tied to certain karmic energies or woundings, inner child wounds or ancestral wounds or karma that you are here to clear. I didn't know all of that stuff, right? So even when I thought I was doing good, choosing better, doing something right, I was carrying all this inner guilt, shame, anxiety, stress. And then I felt like I needed to chase after, okay, like, oh my God, CMOS, this, that. It was creating another form of pursuit that was creating compulsion, attachment, meaning obsession, and then imprisonment, basically. And just like that, the idea of goal and ambition and achievement, this inner sense of fulfillment, is all forms of pursuit. And as long as we are in pursuit of something, we are never really truly free. That's what I learned for my case. So take however it resonates for you. Everyone is unique, and we're all on a unique journey. So yesterday, going back to yesterday, I was sitting and I was just looking over to the lake, and it was very windy, and I sensed that it's about to rain very heavily. And then I was feeling the wind. I was simply looking at the movements of the water. As you can see, it's like the electric current. It's in constant movement. And then I was just so happy in the moment. I was happy because there was no agenda in that moment. I didn't have any ambition in the moment. I didn't have any goals. No need to achieve or something to achieve. Just simply being, and that with that came immense amount of joy. And that joy started to arise because there were no conflicts within myself, conflicts between meaning constant separation in my mind, constant ideas, constant pursuits of this or that. You see what I mean? Just by pursuit of this, meaning basis of that is something else. And that's another boundaries in the mind or separation in the mind. And whenever there's a separation in the mind like that, it creates conflict in the mind. And with the conflict, we cannot feel one within. You see what I mean? Whole. And when we are whole in one, we connect to everything around as whole, that's already whole, meaning we are the same. So I am the wind, I am the wave, I am the water, I am the coffee, I am the chair that I'm sitting on, I am the sky, I am what I experience in that moment. And in that moment, there's no separation, meaning it's just a feeling sensation that I'm not defining as happy, I'm not defining as joyful, I'm not defining as peaceful or harmony, but it just is. With definition brings instant conflict in the mind. We can sense something, but the moment we define that as fear, it becomes fear in our mind. You see how that works? And with that definition, we start to create something else from there. Already the definition has created a separation in our mind. You see how that works? So I remember most of my younger days, most of my life basically, I suffered with, I shared with this really extreme deep depression that was unknown to me, that came to me like periodically. And also the sense of feeling emptiness, empty inside. And also at the same time, extreme restlessness. And I was aware these things were restricting me all the time, but I was pulling them out at the same time. And it was very painful, energetically. But that was the whole purpose for me. I chose to have that experience to understand what that really is, and master how to turn that into something else, because everything is energy, and that in the process I have to realize that I am the creator, I am the alchemist, I am the magician, however you resonate with these terms, right? That we are all here to learn about how energy works, and in a way to manipulate energy, meaning maneuver energy. That's what we call manifestation, right? And also with that manifestation, we have been conditioned with certain ideas of what that is deeply rooted in the concept of duality, that it also had us conditioned to chase after the idea of manifestation without even understanding what that really is, that we are chasing after. You see what I mean? So for some reason, I'm feeling called to share all of that today. For those of you who may be drawn to this and resonate, however it is for you, to really think about, reflect what it means to be present for you, and then what what is primary in a human language sense, that we were taught to sacrifice constantly, constantly trade. It's like a trade-off, right? Meaning another limitation. You either have this or that. And that it's the conditioning and programming had us constantly abandon being conscious over pursuit of happiness, pursuit of success, pursuit of joy, pursuit of peace, pursuit of presence, pursuit of, I don't know, love, pursuit of this, pursuit of that. It could be like a pursuit of your dream this, your dream that, right? It's very like, I don't know, I would say like a little bit tricky. It may be very hard to grasp for some. But that's what I was realizing, right? We say there are no right and wrong, no right answers, no wrong answers, which is true. But soon after that, we go into another pursuit of something, right? That creates separation, or we are imprisoning ourselves with certain definitions that we've been taught, we've been programmed, or we believe as right, we believe as correct, we believe as better, or believe as good, or however it is. Just like the idea of nations, right? As long as we have nations, we say United Nations. But that's the very resistance of, or the opposition, or the opposite of oneness. Because the basis of United Nations means nations, meaning separation. It's built based on the consciousness of separation. And then we have been programmed to pursue unity on top of that. You see what I mean? It's not aligned. And so that's the world we live in. Do you get what I'm saying? The basis of it, starting point, the seed is the separation. And then we shout out, we strive for, we try to make oneness happen, which is all force and just conflict. You see what I mean? So that's another trick of the separation, or this the duality game that we live in. And you can have the sensation, but the moment you identify what that is, the moment you define what it is based on the knowledge that you accumulated, which is the past, there's nothing new there. You see, you're recycling old programming and conditioning, which is another separation. And then with that, we think that we are finding answers, we are getting clearer, but we are actually falling into a trap of conditions, once again, another form of conditions. Trap after another one, after another one. You see what I mean? So it's something that I feel like I needed to share, to present this idea to anyone that may resonate at this time, to reflect on your own, that you may come up with your own, or it may lead you to your own self-discovery. And that's the whole purpose of me sharing this, what I had discovered and processed and understood thus far, right? Which is in constant change, as well as I am constantly exposed to all the sensations, the noise, or this harmony or the symphony. It all depends on how I define it, you see, another good and bad. But that's where we are living, and we are moving to this age of light, age of sovereignty, a new level of consciousness. That we are in the process of evolution on all levels. So that is something that I felt called to share. That at times, unknowingly, we go into comparing ourselves, criticizing ourselves, and judging without realizing that we start to fall into or start to hold on to energies of regrets, shame, guilt, worries, right? Why did I buy that thing that I don't need? Oh my God, I just wasted money, right? Why did I order that I wasn't going to finish? I just wasted that. This idea of, or a conditioning of constant chasing or pursuit of perfection is making us constantly correct who we are in this moment. That is creating conflict within ourselves. And then we go into the other opposite end of that duality, that we want peace, harmony, love, abundance. And now it's another pursuit, it's another goal, it's another ambition that's creating another attachment. How can we be free of all of this and connect to joy, connect to peace, connect to harmony, connect to abundance? And I remember I was at this cafe that I go to pretty regularly, that I resonate. I find more energy that is in resonance with mine in that space, and with the people who are working and making drinks there. And then they were playing like the song of BTS, the Korean K-pop, boy band. And then I noticed the voice of the singer, who is one of the members of BTS. So before I left, I asked the woman who's running the cafe, like, oh, I noticed that you're playing his music, all his music. So, like, are you into K-pop or are you into BTS? It's like, yeah, she likes one of the members, BTS. And then I asked her, like, why do you like him the best, And then she said, no reason. I just, the moment no reason. So, just like that, we are constantly taught to ask, why do you like that? Why do you do that? Why does it taste better? And we are grading, 1 to 10, 10 out of 10, right? Or when someone establishes like authorship of something, everyone is curious to find out what they're gonna say, whether they're gonna say it's 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10, right? Why do we put so much energy onto that and discussing and debating over, or using our curiosity that way, right? It's a subtle, constant programming. And then she said, oh, I like him, but I also like everyone in the group. And so some things that we are being called to choose, it's hard to define with what we had been accumulating from the past. See what I mean? That's the new consciousness that we are heading towards New Earth, and that's where we are working to embody very diligently the flow state, understand, and work towards that. That is the unknown that we are. It's very different from what we've been experiencing, what we've been educated with, what we've been meaning. Education in this day and age means basically conditioning and programming, meaning limitation. So it's a very interesting world that we are living in at this time. That, for me, I come to a new city. At first, everything is new. And so I'm exploring, I'm discovering. And once I get to know a place, once I find something that I like, dislike the separation, then it registers in my mind, right? I like that. And I want to go back to it. Pursuit of pleasure. You see what I mean? But then there are whole other things, but I keep going back to that because of that single experience. You see what I mean? As an example. So giving rest to the restless mind at this time, there's a purpose, right? That we are faced with a lot of the unknown at this time in what's going on in the world, what's going on with our lives, with yourself, with myself, right? The moment we go into the mind, I don't know why I'm feeling drawn to that choice, but somehow I'm drawn to it, right? It's the unknown. I don't have any definitions yet. I don't have any reasons yet. I don't have anything. We call that clean slate, right? And we are all going into it. There's no identification process with it yet, right? I haven't found my place in it yet. So basically, I'm lost. I am confused. Only thing that I am resonating is that something is pulling me, right? I'm feeling pulled. That's the intuition, this inner knowing, right? Soul calling, however it is. That what we've been educated with is that we were educated to pursue certainty, pursue answers for the problems, right? Pursue safety and security. That means unknown is bad. You see what I mean? Unknown is opposite of all of those good things that we've been educated with definitions of good. So at this time, it's important to root down that sense of safety and security within ourselves that's not in seeking safety and security outside in pursuit of something. You see what I mean? That's why we've been working so heavily with ancestral wounds, ancestral karma, working with the root chakra, limiting beliefs, to evolve from the survival mentality that we've been living for centuries, right? In the age of darkness. And I remember, like, I remember seeing this, there's like a roller coaster, I don't know, I forget which country it was. I don't know if it was like in somewhere in South America. There was this roller coaster that was like this, like almost like 90 degrees angle. And the wound that we hold is that a lot of people in the collective, including myself, we grew up not being heard, not being seen, not feeling safe and secure in our homes, with our parents, with all the family members, and living with constant conflict, suffering, pain, you know, like perspective on lack, focused, and scarcity mindset, and all of that, right? And so also that is leading to like this this little TV show of clip that I was guided to see. It's like it's like a program focused on children and parents. And this little girl, like she's like 3 and 4. She loves to swim, so her dad took her to a swimming pool. And her dad is this wrestling champion in Korea, like a traditional wrestling. We call that sirum. It's not like Western wrestling. Well, we have our like sumo in Japan, but it's different. And so he is very competitive in nature, and his daughter is also very competitive in nature. And so that they say he's training her hard. And she's like, and they have a very strong bond, very like loving bond. That also I kind of sense and perceive like a karmic ties there that they need to also work with. But most of all, like so in that scene, the dad is waiting in the pool and the girl is about to jump into the water, and then dad says, "Jump, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna hold you." And then he said that, and as soon as the little girl jumped, he didn't hold her. That's how he was training her to have and develop the survival skill. So it's all out of fear. But she was fine. She didn't cry even though she fell into the water. She had to like come up to the water on her own. And he said he's been training her like this ever since she was like a little baby, so that she is used to this. And she also has that very competitive survival nature in her, which is, I sense, as the karmic energy that they need to like release. When I saw that, and all of a sudden when I was seeing that like 90-degree angle, like the roller coaster, when we have the sense of safety and security, knowing that when you jump, it's going to be safe. Knowing that when you fall in that ride, almost like to a 90-degree angle, you have an illusion that you might die, meaning when we don't feel secure and safe within ourselves, or focus on constant lack and scarcity and fear, the basic assumption or basic belief about life is that it could kill me. You see what I mean? The fear of death. So what if the machine breaks down? What if machine stops? What if my safety belt doesn't work? I fall off? These are all the thoughts. And the moment we have these thoughts, we tremble in fear, we go into panic, and we paralyze. I mean, we go into freeze mode, right? All the nervous system. And that ride becomes, you know, you say ride or die, it becomes die. It doesn't become a ride anymore. You see what I mean? Well, when you develop this idea or sense of safety and security, that you always had someone when you were falling, there was someone catching you. There was someone always there, reassuring you that it's safe. That's what the universe is doing for us, right? You're always guided, you're always supported, protected, and loved. And we are relearning that, right? As we go through our healing journey. For those of you who may resonate, right? And when we have that deep inner sense of security and safety, then everything is working, everything's safe, everything's fine, everything's working out. Then, knowing that you're not going to die, it becomes a ride. It becomes fun, not a terror. You see what I mean? And you start to enjoy the thrill, the adventure, or whatever that is, like as like kind of an analogy, or you know, in a symbolic sense that is coming up for me to share for some reason. So with this energy that we are moving into, it is we are constantly being called to work with our own whatever insecurities that may be coming up. You know, that's from a deeper layer over and over. And as we enter July just now, today is July 1st, where I am in Vietnam. There are 4 planets going into retrograde this month, which is to further help us and support us to look into these deeper layers of any limiting beliefs. That's all interconnected. So-called inner child wounds, so-called ancestral karma, family karma, bloodline karma, or however it is, traumas, wounds, all these things, all interconnected. We are to go deep once again. To recognize these illusions, the game of duality, once again. Any sort of illusions that you may have develop to associate yourself with or identify yourself with or as. And the constant survival mentality, the need to pursue, even pursuing life, right? The need for something. So for me, as I share it, as I meditate, reflect on it, it's very interesting what we are going through on a human level as well. You know, we are living as humans at this time, right? Whether you're starseeds, whether you're this or that. At this time, what we are playing is human in this game of life, right? So, and this duality is constantly calling us to play the game of balance as well. Balancing this and that, balancing enjoying the material things, at the same time not abandoning the spiritual aspect of things. Also going into certain aspects, not abandoning the practical actions of something that we just have to, I think, at this time remember or remind that this idea of goal, idea of pursuit, idea of achievement, idea of ambition, we are not to negate them all, because we are here to learn about what duality really means and how it plays out. But just that it's not our primary. You see what I mean? It's not consciousness. It is all a tool, all a resource that we can utilize to bring about something. And also that idea of creating is in a whole other different level of consciousness, in the flow state. All this idea of making things happen, we're all resistance, using force constantly. So we are constantly on this edge of the unknown. And then as we discover something, realize and learn and evolve, there's another edge of the unknown, another edge of the unknown. We call that expansion at this time, right? Endless possibilities, endless discoveries, endless expansion. So with that is very interesting for me, you know, that looking back in my life thus far, I went through constant changes. It's for a soul purpose, soul design that I recognize in hindsight. That every change I faced, I had to so-called overcome fears. But with fear, I had to do it anyways. But there were moments of hesitation, there were moments of doubt. Also, we may experience those emotions once again, or they may resurface once again. But that doesn't mean that you are, I don't know if it's a word, devolving or revolving. You see what I mean? We are constantly evolving, but on a different level, that with the duality limitation of how we define it, can create another illusion or a layer of illusion that we are not progressing, we are not moving forward, or we are not evolving or growing, see? Feel like we are falling back, stagnant, which is another illusion. With that old definition that we've been educated with, we are creating limitation in our reality field as well, right? The moment we define as non-progressive, non-moving, stagnant, stuck, paralyzed, the moment we define it, rather than we sense it, feel it, and allow it to move through, it anchors down in reality field. It creates your reality. That's how the words, thoughts, mental, mind, energies work, right? In this game of earth, life, human identity, human ego that we chose to carry like an avatar, like in the movie Avatar. So I just wanted to share these thoughts as I'm just looking over, just feeling the wind. Feels so pleasant. This moment of passing sweetness of life, or this human life, I would say. And I want to be free, right, from all these definitions. I want to be free from all this separating ideas and fears and doubts and insecurities or whatever that is. We all want to be free. We want to be happy. We want to be abundant. We want to be peaceful. We want to be joyful. We want to be free. And that portal is in the present moment. There's a portal, there's a gateway open all the time. And that we call, we always have a choice, right? We always have different possibilities that we can create based on how we maneuver our energies, and then enter into that portal of now. Not living in the past, not living in comparison, not living in constant anxiety in pursuit of the future or regrets of the past. We are learning, we're all learning. We're all learning to be free. Of course, if you resonate as well, right? On Earth, yeah, you have to be very discerning, right? That's something that I feel called to share for those of you who may resonate at this moment in time. You see, everything is constant. Only thing that's constant in life is change. That was what really resonated with me when I was deep in amnesia. Like, what does that mean? I kind of sense it. I kind of feel like I know that, but what does that mean, you know, back then? So, yeah, with that, I wish you a beautiful day wherever you are in the world, whatever circumstances. Then even we're not in pursuit of surrendering, right? I'm just letting it all down, just being fully attentive to this moment. And when we are fully attentive, fully listening, I kind of experimented with this. You see, another game of life, the moment I start to speak about that, boom, the noise, right? Getting my attention. So I reflect on all this energies coming up, like for example with negative thoughts, however it is, about certain past events or wounds. The moment I give full attention to that, I do not define, meaning I do not separate in my mind what that is. And with that definition, we go into another layer of duality of that was good and bad, which is comparison, assessing, and then judging, evaluating, right? Creating conflict in the mind. Good, no bad. Bad, no good. I'm conflicted whether I should forgive them or not. I'm conflicted whether I should feel guilty of this or not. I'm conflicted whether I should be this or that, feel this or that, think this or that, right? But when we sense, allow these emotions to flow, you may cry for no reason all of a sudden. You are opening up your gateway of something that we sometimes don't need to know what that is, but you just know that it is working. The floodgates open. You're suddenly, after going inward, reflecting, crying. And the moment I start to talk about this, fly just flew in and sat on my phone. Another game of life. And then with that, without going into the conflict of the past, conflict of the future, at this time, two major factors that contributes to creating conflict within our mind is time, right? And fear. When I give full attention to it, I start to feel it full. And with that, something comes up, a water, the old outdated water in our body, in my body, comes out. And that it empties out. It purifies our soul, energy field. Crying is a very important part of healing or this journey on life. And I share this one time that I had this experience where one of my family members, after having this traumatic experience in relationship, divorce, she said she cannot cry anymore. She cannot, she wants to, but she cannot cry anymore. Heart is blocked. And something cracks open and you start to cry, and now you're able to cry freely. You see, the floodgate needs to be open. We could call it feeling at this time, right? However you resonate. Feel emotions. But we've been shamed for crying when we are happy. We've been shamed for crying in schools and work and with families. Holding on to emotions. So, yes, before I go, I think that needed to come out and be shared. That when we truly give full attention, there are no separation, there's no definition. We just love. We just feel. We just are happy. I don't know, this feeling sensation of sweetness, feeling pleasantness that's different from pleasure, from attachment to something. And with that, we've experienced that brief moment of freedom, total freedom. And it's really nice. We are home. That's our essence. And that's the journey of, in a way, remembering, I would say. So with that, I'm gonna wrap up. And I hope you enjoyed this wind once again, just sharing this energy of water. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.